Everyone, welcome to an online info session for Red Seal Carpenter program that we are offering at Ashton College, live online, available for you to join from any parts of Canada. We're just waiting for everyone to connect, for the participants to connect, and for our instructor to connect as well. I see that Thomas, for some reason, connected as a participant. Just a sec. Okay, so today we're going to discuss our program that we offer at Ashton, and at Ashton College been around for over 20 years, and we are offering online programs for over 10 years as well, so we're not new to this. Carpenter Red Seal exam prep is 18 hours of instructional prep time in total. And the next live online part-time course starts on September 2nd and goes through October 28th. So you're welcome to join. It's really easy to register on our website. You can just go click the link and register today. We don't have any specific admission requirements for the program. You have to be at least 19 years old, and that's it for this program. No other requirements. You'll also have to meet our technical requirements because it's live online. So you have to have a computer and a proper Wi-Fi, and we prefer if you have a headset with mic so that you can participate actively during the session. And the course is $495. This is in consideration for our program, of course. If you want to register for the Red Seal exam, you have to meet specific requirements by each province, apprenticeship office in each province. It depends where you live. We will be posting this information in a live chat. Oh, I see Thomas is here. Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm busy these days. I'm starting a foundations course next week, but I'm still going to be available every Wednesday to help with this program. So just, yeah, it's nice that schools are K-12 are going back in, because that means foundation is some of them are completing their grade 12 by coming to my class. So that got me back in the shop and offline. So, but I will still be available every Wednesday evening. Those are my office hours for my regular students anyways. So, yeah, I'm busy, but I'm good.
You're not leaving Ashton yet, right?
No, ma'am. No, we're a team now. I'm good.
Yeah, that's great. So for those of you who just joined and don't know Thomas Burnham, he's our instructor for Carpenter Red Seal exam prep. And Thomas, how is your Master of Education going? Is it still going?
Well, 2 weeks ago, my grandmother, who was 95, passed away. But no, she was ready to go. She was, yeah. If you asked her what she wanted for her birthday, she said she was ready to go. So it's all right. So I'm a little out of sorts on my final paper for this semester, but everything's going well. I've talked to my instructor and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm well into my master's. We're done 2/3 of it now, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Thomas always goes for lifelong learning, never stops studying, and loves to share his experience that he gained in the industry and during his studies. A+ student, right?
3.88 GPA on my teaching degree. So.
And I think you got 97 on the Red Seal exam, 99 you said?
I got 97, yeah. The year that I took the Red Seal, 2003, January, they'd actually changed the Red Seal, so it wasn't based off of the question bank anymore. So it actually turns out that I was in the top 5 percentile of carpenters graduating with the Red Seal that year. So.
Oh wow! Yes. So we've got the best teacher possible out there.
Well, I hope. I try to make everything function with my learners. So I mean, I understand by the time you're doing the Red Seal prep course that you're probably got a lot of experience. And so all I want to do is adjust what you need to know for the red seal, the language and the mathematics and other stuff. So I really just, it's kind of free form for my class, I guess you'd call it. But I really just want to get in touch with my learners, figure out what they need, and work on that with them over our 8 or 9 weeks together. So
yeah, so it depends on their demands and needs, right? So
well, yeah, it really depends on the group. It's I can't say that I've got a set curriculum, because even in the first year foundations course, I don't really have a set curriculum. I try to follow the curriculum that's posted by the Industry Training Authority, ITA, and I try to keep everybody engaged and motivated. So, you know, sometimes we're crunching numbers on math and it's a bummer, and sometimes we're just talking. So, yeah, I mean, my real main thing behind all of this is to just communicate the language and to brush up on the math. And throughout the program, I post the ITA modules for things other than like tool safety and site safety and stuff, because I'm sure by the time we're doing this program, we know all that stuff. But what I post, like commercial concrete forms, and I post hip roofs and gable roofs and gambrel roofs, and so I try to post information that I think people might need. Yeah. And so a lot of stuff I post, you may have experience in. You don't have to read it. It's all good. I'm posting all of those modules because there may be something that you're not sure about, or you question yourself about. So you can go into those modules and read through it. It's first year, second year, third year, fourth year modules that I post on Schoology. So they're just posted in a manner in which if you're not sure, you can look it up. And I kind of expect that a certain level of homework should be done.
Actually, that's a good question. How much do you think our students should allocate for self-study per week before they get, when they prepare for the exam? What would your recommendation be?
Well, I know life happens, and I know we don't always have time to study, but when I got my 97, I studied like 45 hours a week or 50 hours a week in class and in my dorm room. But I mean, that was an extreme case.
But they only need 70%, right?
well, you see, part of my thing is that I tell my learners, go through and answer everything you know. Everything you're 100% sure about, answer it. When you're doing your IP exam or any other carpentry exam, go through and answer everything you know. Write down the numbers of the stuff you kind of know, and write down the numbers of the stuff you have no idea about. Because the way the exam lays out, if you answer everything you're sure about, you're at least 70%. Right? I mean, they don't want to fail you. And then, because I think a lot of times people, when they're writing their red seal exam, they get hung up on a question, and it drags out. My hair's a mess. Oh well. It drags out. They drag it out, right? They spend 10 or 15 minutes trying to answer this question, but just leave it. It'll still be there after you answer everything you know, right? So the way the exam's laid out, don't get hung up on the different questions. Go through and do what you know, then start on what you're kind of sure about, and then look at the stuff you have no idea about. I mean, if you've been in the trade for 5 or 6 or 10 years, you're pretty much past. You just got to tidy up your math, and you just got to spend some time learning the language. And
yes, and then you can go back and sort of guess the right answer, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you
with the wrong answer.
You answer everything you know, and you answer everything you're kind of sure about, and then the rest you could just answer C if you wanted to. That's one of the multiple choice things that they say. If you're not sure, just answer C. But I don't recommend it. I'm not saying to do that, but there. I mean, it's just a simple case of spending some time with somebody who knows the language, who knows the modules, who knows the learning, and adjusting your terminology from your time in the trade into industry training authority or whatever your province training authority is, and adjusting your language to that so that you can read the questions for the interprovincial exam.
What do you think is the most challenging on the Red Steel exam? Like, what was the most challenging for you, or what do you think others face, like test anxiety, or is it because they have so many practical skills but maybe lack this terminology, or what do you think is the most common obstacle in writing?
I think that exam anxiety, of course, right? Because you've spent your money on it and you got to spend more money if you don't pass it. And you're not sure if you've got it. But outside of exam anxiety, which can be dealt with by breathing or just reading and assuring yourself you know.
Sleeping well before the exam.
Put on your headphones, and when you go to bed at night, and it says, you know this, you know carpentry, you can do this, you're capable. But I mean, other than that, math. I mean, it's simply to say it's carpenter math, but at the same time, it's not.
You're allowed to use calculator though, right?
Of course, yes. Not your cell phone calculator, mind you, but your calculator. It's just, as a carpenter, as you get further into the trade, second year, third year, you start to specialize. Some guys go into carpentry, some guys go into interior, some guys go into exterior, and some into framing. And while those are all valid, the skills that you learn from doing a variety of the trades, from walking through all of framing, exterior, and all that, the math then becomes second nature, right? And if you've specialized, let's say, in exterior for 10 years or 15 years, you may not know stair calculations or hip rafter calculations or how to estimate the materials for a roof. These are questions that come up on the Red Seal, and my handouts and my information that I have goes over laws of right triangles, goes over converting from metric to imperial, from inches to decimals of a foot back to inches. And
are you allowed to use any formula sheets or like anything else beside the calculator, like any books they can use at the exam?
No. They give you the section 9 of the code. You can't bring your own code in because you can make notes, but they give you section 9 of the National Building Code, and you bring your own calculator and a pencil and eraser. But to convert from metric to imperial, if you got 75 millimeters, you divide by 25 because that's the conversion factor, right? Millimeters to inches is I'm in the middle of another class right now, and I told my learners that we were going to meet at 4 o'clock, or 5 o'clock your time, but so the next time the phone rings, I'm going to have to answer it. But I told them we were waiting till 5. Right now? Yeah, well, I told my learners last week that we were going to start an hour later. So it's probably just IT calling me to ask where I am. But I told everybody. So yeah, I mean, these conversion factors and all this other stuff, inches to, there's lots of little slogans and stuff that you can use to remind yourself of it. And it's kind of like repetition, right? Once you're reminded of being in the apprenticeship or having seen it in the modules before, you then put it into memory, right? You see it, you read it, you do it, you learn. So this whole I told
Okay,
them
answer
I
that if you need to. Let me just actually.
sorry about that. I'm just.
Yeah, no worries. You can answer that if you need to. We posted the provincial and territorial apprenticeship and certification authorities for your province. So if you want to find out how to register for exam, you can click the link and see the apprenticeship office in your province. I actually want to open a mic if somebody wants to ask questions live. You're welcome to do that. You can also ask questions in the chat and Q&A box that you can see at the bottom of your screen. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, you can also ask questions in a comment box below the video. You can raise hand, press the raise hand button at this Zoom webinar if you want to ask a question. And we'll enable your microphone and you will be able to speak. So our participants, attendees, please, you're welcome to do that if you want. Okay, so a few other details that I want to cover is for those who just joined. Let me see. So Red Seal exam cost is varies from province to province, and it's from $150 to like $500 depending where you live. You will be able to sit for the exam for this cost, and I think you get like 3 trials to write the exam. But of course, it's better to prepare and pass it from the first time. So we recommend to prepare with the professionals in a group when you can review all the materials and get ready and feel confident, right? So also I have a recent update from the test centers. As you may know, that a lot of test centers were closed across the country. But now in most of the provinces, they are open and you can register for the test. They're operating, taking into consideration COVID restriction. So they keep 2 meters between the exam takers. And some of the smaller centers are closed, but the bigger ones are open and functioning. So there is no problem, you can register for the exam. And for that, you can contact the apprenticeship office. Also, we do recommend that you register first. And so, you know, for example, I have an exam in November, and then you're more stimulated and motivated to actually prepare for the test with us. What is the cut-off date to register? I see that Sean asked that. You mean for our program? For one program, we do recommend that you register at least 1 week prior to the start. So you get the welcome email and the materials that you need to get, and you have enough time to prepare for that, for the first class, and create your user account and everything. But basically, yeah, so last week of August is that we recommend that you register. And if you missed, there are no admission requirements. You have to be 19 years old, and that's it for our program. And if you're talking about registration for the test, did it answer your question? Okay. And yeah, and you can click the link and register that was just posted. Also, if you want to register for the test itself, then you have to contact, depending which province you are, the apprenticeship office, right? Hi, we have Thomas back. And
sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So I don't know. Maybe Thomas, can you share how Red Seal changed your life? Did it result in any better opportunities, better pay, and things like that? What would you say?
I did most of my apprenticeship while I was in the Carpenters Union.
Mm-hmm.
And every 6 months you get a raise unless you don't pass your apprentice stage, right? So you do your first year, at 6 months in you get a raise, and you go to your second year and you pass and you get a raise. And so that allowed me to get that wage income. But the best thing that happens with the Red Seal is if you're not working in a trade union, you have a piece of paper that you can take to any job site, to any employer, to anywhere in Canada that says, yes, I know how to be a carpenter. No matter what, you have that paper that you can take with you. You know, a lot of job sites, they kind of, oh, just, yeah, come on in. You got your boots on, you got your belt on, come on in. But when it starts to get into like government backed web job sites and that kind of stuff, it really helps to have that piece of paper. No matter where you go, you're a Red Seal carpenter. Now, it's not valid in the States, but I know that having that same paperwork in the States to present, although it's not, they don't consider it, it's still a statement that you've been trained and you know. And out of all of that, I've bought and sold houses. I've bought big trucks with big tires and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, the financial side has been a plus. I've really enjoyed all of that. But in anything we do, in all of our learning, lifelong learning or otherwise, you need that piece of paper. No matter where you go, if you got that piece of paper, you can say, nope, here's my piece of paper. You can see them on my wall behind me.
Great. And we actually have a few questions. One from
Sure.
Sean. And Sean is wondering, is there a minimum class size, or is it going even if there are only 3 people? And actually, I have an answer for that. Yeah, like in our previous semesters, we had like 15, 20 people. But this semester, due to COVID, we had really low numbers, right, of registrations. Like I think it is actually 3 students. And we still did, 5, okay.
5, but only 2 showed up on a regular basis. Well,
Okay.
as soon as it got nice and sunny and the COVID restrictions started getting lifted, they all had to go to work, right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So yes, we do run it even if it's low numbers in case, because we had experience in the past. But of course, we prefer if there are more students.
Well, of course.
But definitely, and actually this is a good, and another thing you touched, Thomas, all the sessions, of course, we encourage you to participate in our live online sessions, but if for any reason you have a family or you have a work to do, we record all the sessions and Tom is sharing it with the students. So if you miss something, you will get the recorded version. But
although I prefer people to be in class,
yeah.
I prefer them to be with me. Well, as we're talking and we're going over the practice questions and practice exams and stuff, I'd like to be able to see people's faces so I can see how they react, so I can ask them about it. I understand life happens. I understand you can watch the recorded versions, but I kind of prefer that people attend, but maybe that's just ego.
Yeah, you have to attend 70% at least of class.
Yeah.
There is that option. You had other chores to do. Yeah, and another question is from Martin. What does the program cover? So maybe Thomas, you can mention the modules you go through.
Well, the program goes over site safety, personal safety, tool safety. Although by the time we're doing kind of an upgrader course, you already know that. It goes over
Equipment, materials, and
how to maintain a table saw, how to maintain a chop saw, how to very basic stuff. And then it goes into like how to stick frame a roof, gable roof, how to stick frame and calculate a hip roof, how to calculate volumes of concrete, how to set up commercial fly forms, like the forms you set and you jack them to height and you pour the concrete on top, you lower them down, you grab it with a crane and fly it up, put it back up on top. And it goes over exterior, which is, windows and doors, and it goes over problem solving on those issues. Like it says, if the floor you're installing a door on is out of level, what procedure do you go through in order to install the door in a correct manner? Which is cut a tapered wedge so the door sits on a level platform. It goes over like what's in concrete, different forms of concrete, type 10 high early concrete. It goes over all that sort of stuff. It goes over using builder's levels. It goes over security measures, like when you're framing a house and you've got your front door and where to put blocking and all that sort of stuff in order to support the lock mechanism and the hinge mechanism on the door. Basically it goes over everything from a hole in the ground to a house with shingles on the roof and the windows and doors installed, even siding.
So, and most important, the practice questions and hints and ideas, right? And you share your personal experience, how to write the exam and what to be aware of, right?
Well, in the modules that I post, it's ITA for BC Industry Training Authority. And throughout, from first year to fourth year, there are self-tests throughout, and they have answers in the end. And I know that it's extra time and extra hours, but I suggest going through that because, I mean, those questions give you the language as well as the language that we're talking about for the class. And it also talks about the mathematic formulas and all that sort of stuff. I can give you the formula. I can show you the process for the formula, but I mean, I recommend if you have the time to read through the modules that I post, because that's the language and it shows you from 2 + 2 = 4 till you finish the roof. And my practice exams that assessments that I put out every week are ITA questions from previous Red Seal courses. And I create my own math questions to add to it, because while answering the questions is important, how to fix this or this is, that sort of stuff. But the math is probably the biggest part of the whole thing. Now, don't sweat it. Come to class, spend some time talking with me. I've got all kinds of handouts, got all kinds of explanations. It's not that hard once you wrap your head around it, but the math is a major part of the Red Seal. So
I think it answers Martin's question. I hope so. Yeah, and if there are any other questions, please post them now. Otherwise, we have to let Thomas go and teach the class, right? So yes, we encourage you to register on our website. And if you have any other questions, or if you missed something, or you have any specific questions, you can always reach us at 604-899-0803 or business hours, or email ceinfo@ashtoncollege.ca anytime. Yeah.
A question here from Rika. Can I become Red Seal certified if my training took place outside of Canada? If you are registered with your training board in your province and you get your red book in BC or blue book in Alberta or what have you, and you have an employer from outside of Canada or inside of Canada who is willing to sign for your hours, because that's what your apprentice handbook is for, is to document your hours. If you have an employer who's willing to sign for your hours, those hours are valid. So.
And how many hours do you require as a carpenter?
9,000?
9,000 hours, right?
But if you're working as an apprentice, I mean, 3,000 hours a year isn't hard to come by, right? Like my first year as an apprentice, I think I had 4,500 hours. So because we're learning and we know stuff, and our wages aren't that high, so we're fairly inexpensive.
Yeah. So I know we have to let you go, Thomas, and I don't think we have any further questions. It's just thank you for joining us today. It was great to see you again. and good luck with your group. And maybe if anything you want to share, anything else you want to share and say for closing of this webinar, then.
Well, if you're interested, I welcome you to join. We have a lot of laughs. We talk about Gary Larson and the Far Side. We talk about Calvin and Hobbes. We joke a lot. It's fun. I enjoy it. I hope my learners enjoy it. And I mean, it's good to spend time with a professional when preparing for this kind of exam, because I know the language, I know the math, I know what they're looking at. And I'd love to help you get your red seal and move on to the next stage of your life.